Idelalisib is a new class of drugs. This was the first in class approved of PI3K inhibitors. And anytime one uses a new class of drugs, it's important to understand the unique toxicity profile. So what we learned from this trial in double refractory indolent B-cell lymphoma, as well as other trials in CLL and other B-cell histologies, that it does have a unique toxicity profile and people need to be aware of it. There are a variety of side effects that need to be monitored. These include GI toxicity. There's often an early diarrhea that occurs, and if it's grade 1 or 2, this can be managed with really just symptomatic management, making sure there's not an infectious cause, of course, and anti-motility agents. However, if patients have grade 3 diarrhea, this often occurs more late in the course, usually around 7 months or more after being on therapy. This is more of an inflammatory colitis. If biopsies have shown a lymphocytic infiltrate, and this typically needs to be managed, certainly at grade 3, we need to hold the drug and manage with corticosteroids, either systemic or non-absorbable corticosteroids. The other early toxicity that one needs to monitor is LFT elevation. This typically happens over the first 6 to 8 weeks, and patients need to have their transaminases monitored at least every other week by labs over the first 2 to 3 months. Oftentimes, if these are simply less than 5 times the upper limit of normal, this can be just watched. However, if these go beyond 5 times the upper limit of normal of transaminases, then typically the drug is held until they normalize, and most patients can restart then at the 100 milligram twice a day dose rather than the starting 150 milligram twice a day dose. One also needs to be mindful of the potential infectious complications with this agent. There have been cases of PJP that have been observed in patients treated with Idelalisib. So in general, I tend to prophylax my patients either with trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole or with dapsone for PJP prophylaxis, and CMV reactivation has also been noted. So the current recommendations suggest considering CMV monitoring, and certainly in the early phases, most of the CMV cases occurred in the early treatment course. We often will check CMV PCR on our patients on this drug. In terms of other major safety concerns, there is a low rate of pneumonitis that needs to be monitored. So certainly if people have pulmonary symptoms, this needs to be evaluated. Otherwise, cardiovascular complications, really, there are no significant cardiovascular complications or high rates with this drug. So taking those at that adverse event profile, why was this drug approved? This was approved based on the efficacy, as I mentioned. In the follicular cohort, there was a 54% overall response rate, and the overall duration of response was about 12.5 months in this double refractory population. My personal experience with this drug is that it is effective. It works in follicular lymphoma, but one does have to monitor the toxicities and follow the patients closely. It's very tempting when one has a pill to write a prescription and let your patients go, but these pills certainly do have side effects, and we need to follow our patients closely.